I'm Jason Sisney of the Legislative Analyst Office. On October 27th, Governor Brown released his proposal to change public employee pension and retiree health benefits. In our view, this proposal deserves serious consideration by the legislature as it continues to consider this very important issue for the state. In previous presentations, we've talked about some of the key principles that our office uses when we look at public employee retirement benefits. Now, it's important to note that we don't view the current system of defined benefit public employee pension programs as an intrinsically bad thing at all. Pensions are really just one part of public employees' compensation. In many cases, pensions have been taken as a substitute for what would otherwise be higher salaries during individuals' public service working careers. And in fact, encouraging employees, public employees or private employees, to save and defer a part of their compensation to retirement is a good public policy. And for all of these reasons, having a well-managed, properly funded retirement program is something that we view very highly. California's public pension and retiree health programs have a number of problems, though. There is a notable tendency in the current system to defer cost to later generations, and this produces what is known as an unfunded liability for a pension program or a retiree health program. This means that instead of retirement benefits being entirely funded, as they should be, during an employee's working life, these costs are often deferred to later taxpayers and later generations. The current system is also very inflexible. And in part, this is because case law in California is very protective of the rights of current public employees and past public employees who have already retired. Also, there is a significant disparity between the retirement benefits that public employees receive and those that are paid to employees in the private sector. Now, dealing with all of these problems will require difficult, complex choices. We view Governor Brown's proposal as a bold one and one that should be considered very carefully by the legislature. Its central premise is to shift more of the financial risk for public retirement programs, which are now borne largely by public employers, shift more of that risk to employees and retirees, particularly for future public workers. That would be a very significant step to change the current financial profile and risks that governments are seeing with these pension and retiree health programs. The plan also aims for a future with higher retirement ages for future public workers and their enrollment in what are called hybrid programs that include both defined benefit and defined contribution programs, a future in which those workers have retirement benefits that are more similar to those that are paid out in the private sector. And in addition, the governor's plan aims to ensure that future public workers still are able to retire with a set of retirement benefits from defined benefit, defined contribution plans, and in some cases Social Security that would be sufficient to maintain their standard of living when they retire. Changing public employee retirement benefits will be very complex, and the governor's proposal leaves a lot of questions unanswered for us. It will require a lot of detailed work by the legislature and the governor to really nail down these issues in the coming months. In particular, we don't understand some key aspects of how the governor's hybrid program and retirement age proposals would work. We have concerns about his proposal to place caps on benefits for high-income public employees and how exactly that would work. And perhaps most significantly, the governor's proposal doesn't really address some key funding issues facing some of California's largest retirement systems. For example, the governor does not address the very significant financial issues facing the teachers' retirement system, which may need several $billions a year over the next several decades if we're to keep that system solvent and to address its unfunded liabilities into the future. The governor doesn't address the significant financial issues facing the University of California as it restores funding to its pension program. And he doesn't address significant issues at the state and CSU level for retiree health unfunded liabilities. Local governments face those same liabilities as well. So these are issues that the legislature, we think, will want to consider. In our view, when you think about the issues that are facing CalSTRS and the University of California retiree program, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to change all of these benefits substantially and not think about how they're going to be funded into the future. The governor proposes that current public workers, in many cases, be required to contribute more to their retirement benefits. Others have proposed reducing future benefits that are earned by current public workers. Now, in our view, reading the case law that's been developed over the last century on this issue, it's going to be extremely difficult and perhaps impossible for the state to require current public workers and retirees to pay more to their benefits or to change their future benefits. This is a very difficult issue, and what that means, if it really is next to impossible to change contributions and benefits for many of those current workers, it means that it will be very difficult to get much short-term cost savings, as the governor seems to want to achieve for the state and local governments. Instead, in looking at pension issues, we think that the legislature is probably advised to focus on the long term, to think over the long term and how costs can be brought into a more manageable framework over that time frame. And that will mean pursuing solutions that deal primarily with future workers who are not employed yet, and essentially the state and local governments can change whatever aspect of future workers' pension benefits that they'd like. Clearly, there is significant public concern about public employee retirement benefits. The fact that public employee retirement benefits are so different from those that are given to many Californians in the private sector can make it difficult for citizens to evaluate whether their governments are spending funds wisely, and it can impair trust in government itself. We think that making the types of changes proposed by the governor with some adjustments will be very important, not only to bring cost of the public employees' retirement systems into line and under control over the long term, but also to restoring trust in retirement systems. And we think that these changes can help build public confidence and allow governments to continue providing significant retirement benefits for employees into the future.